I'm dealing with. Someone's scratched the hell out of it with some wire wool. Check it out, I've not seen this car in ages. What the fuck? Right, let's get this baby back. Oh. One of the mirrors remains unbroken, thanks. There's life. That doesn't work. Oh, it does. Ready? That is ridiculous. This car's been stood for over 2 years. And it just starts straight up. What's your drive? Tires are very, very flat. Come on. Yeah. Not a problem. There you go. Well, actually, it doesn't feel too. Yeah. There's a lot of fuel smell. That power steering pump is not doing too well. Oop. Tires feel awful, but that's kind of to be expected. Right. What does this thing look like? I can't believe how quiet it is. God. Oh wow. Those really are very gone. But yeah, everything still works. So 68,589 miles on it. New battery in today. What's the date today? That'll help. 28th of April 2021 is the climate control. See if the aircon still works nice and cold. Never had it gassed. Oh God. Yeah, it's beautiful. That is fantastic. Nice. Engine's coming up to temperature now, so that all looks pretty positive to me. Interior lights, we're all working. Car's full of shit, obviously. This is my attempt at fitting a new trim to it. Yeah, nice. Right, so the plan with the car now is to leave it in the garage that I've just resurrected it in. Just grabbed it from. I'm gonna wait for a trusty man tomorrow to come and help me out. Stick it on a low loader and drag it all the way back to Watford, where it will sit next to my V10. So this is the resurrection of the 528. And if you bear with me 2 seconds, you'll find me. I didn't do a transition there, did I? But yeah, it's about to be tomorrow. And here we are. Back home with the car. It's the day after, so I had it picked up this morning. It's now the 29th, and I'm going to show you around the car. See just how rough this thing is. So let's have a look at the magnificence. First thing you notice is all the dirt all over the front. This is kind of like dust from the underground car park. There's also some sort of bits and pieces that I'm sure were there before the car went in. I just couldn't bother to clean it or something like that, but here you go. So the bonnet generally is pretty straight and true. Not in the worst condition. And then you'll notice here there's a slight dent at the front. Has been there before. And the pieces underneath the headlights are missing as well. You will notice if you have a look around that these are actually amber indicators. But on the rest of the car, for example, the side markers, the rears, they're clear lights. That's my fantastic idea. So, front bumper, here we got a proper scrape, another one here and more here. And you'll see this is a recurring theme of the car. Rather than buy the blacked out shadow line trim, I got some electrical tape and just put it over the metal so it looks from a sport from a real distance. There we go. You can see it's got completely original plates on it, 25 years old. As is most of this car, to be fair. It's had a slight shunt 15 years ago that meant, I think, the replacement of one of the wings. But aside from that, the car's never been in an accident, and none of the major components like exhaust, gearbox, engine, any of that stuff has ever been replaced. There's a little bit of a scrape there, and a mark here. Let's have a look around here. You'll see a lot of these are quite flat, but I think with a buff, a good polish, it'll actually come out all right. A few surface marks and things. More of this tape stuff that I told you about. The brakes are not too bad, considering they've been parked up for 2 years. They don't look too rusty, but I guess that's because it's in a weather-sealed compartment, if you will. This car's actually been garaged for almost all of its life. 5 years it hasn't been garaged, it's been on a driveway. It's pretty remarkable, really. These are non-standard rims. The tyres, I mean, they'll have a flat spot now anyway, so I won't really be able to drive them, but the tread's got pretty low on them. This is of the 530, the facelift 530, so the 17s. And originally, I think this car had 15s on it. Maybe it was 16s. Another scrape here. This all was me. I'm not ashamed to admit it. You got a few random marks here. Sunroof here, which unfortunately doesn't work. The runners are broken. If you try and operate it, it'll come out and get stuck. So don't do that. Electrical tape. Electrical tape. Door, pretty good order. And this one back here, same. I mean, to be honest, the car is pretty straight and true for what is a 26-year-old beast. There's a annoying little dent there. Someone's used a touch-up kit, but that's not really done the trick. And there we go. So the rims, they're all pretty scratched, to be honest, like quite curved. I'm not even sure if they're worth recovering at this point, just because of the nature of them. The tyres, those are pretty damn soft. I mean, there's no air in this one at all. I'm guessing that's probably been a slow puncture where I've hit a curb. But I think the best thing to do now is just to replace all 4 tyres and maybe all 4 wheels. So some of the worst condition on the bodywork here is on this rear bumper. I think it needs a total respray or even a replacement if I can find one. No parking sensors on this, so someone's just reversed it into various things for my ownership. But a couple of members of my family have used it in its time. Here we go. And you can see the true extent of what it looks like when you leave a car in an East London car park for 2.5 years. I think people have just been like throwing drinks at it. There we go. This is the worst. I'm not sure how repairable that is. I mean, you definitely need some like proper filler to level that out, and then the whole thing needs to be resprayed, I guess. And that's my least favourite piece of bodywork, because how the hell do you replace that? Light out and tap from the inside? There's some other bits. Some guy scraped down the side of this car when it's parked on the side of the road. So it's parked on this side, and someone all the way down the side. It's damaged all this here. Rust is starting to come through. It's been touched up. And then, here we go, bit of a dent. And the door, unfortunately, here, it's got a very shallow dent there. You can probably see. There it is. And that's all from the same thing. Of course, more electrical tape. It continues to here. So that's the outside of the car. It's a mirror that got lost in the last 2 years. Suspiciously, my car used to be parked next to another E39, so I wonder if somebody broke their mirror and then nicked it from me. As you can see, all 4 models are in similar ropey condition. I've got a pump though, so we'll pump them up. Step on the inside, have a look. So I've got some brand new wiper blades. That went well. And just some water and bits and pieces in here. I don't think easy for the car. I think the car's actually sweet. I don't think it leaks water at all. Imagine being a cheapskate. I just filled these bottles full of water because one of the last times I drove this car was the Nürburgring. I took it out of where it was, drove it to the Nürburgring, drove it home and then locked it up again. So this is the interior here. It's all pretty standard. The car's got a purple theme. So this is aubergine leather, which I don't really like the colour of. And it's also the SE, it's not the Sport. So very, very comfortable, but really not supportive. And the outside is aspen silver, which has a purple tinge to it, which I do quite like. So as you'll notice here, I've actually fitted this sort of completely mismatching silver trim, which is fantastic. This is the aluminium stuff out of the M5. I know the 530, you can get a very similar looking trim, but it's plastic. So this is a mod of mine. I don't really like this, but it was relatively cheap and I found it quite hard to come by. You'll notice that the gear lever and this surround for the cassette player, they're both in wood still, which is the original finish of the car, which I always hated. You may have your own opinions about this, but I think this sort of stuff dates the car so much, along with the balloon tyres and small bumpers. And the later ones look really cool and sort of defy their age quite a lot. My plan always was, somewhat optimistically, to replace the automatic with a manual gearbox, and then also swap this out for a doubled-in system that doesn't have this fascia panel. So that would sort of naturally get rid of this problem, but I haven't really gotten around to it, and maybe I won't. So another thing I have here is the original service book. I believe this is the original service wallet, but for some reason this has got duplicate written on it. And the car is coming up for 25 years old, so there we go. And I don't know when the last service was, but it's entirely possible that the last service was done by BMW, but you can see the original service here. So 10 miles, that's a pre-registration one, I guess. And then in 98, it had one, 2000. It was always looked after by Sidner, Gerrard Cross, 2000, 2002, 2004. Here we are. It was off the road for a while after 2004. The last service is actually... in 4 months' time, it would be 10 years since this car's had an oil service. And since then, it's done 21,000 miles. To be honest, it actually has had an oil change because the top end of the engine went. We had an issue with the head gasket on this thing, so we had the top shim back and it would have had the oil replaced at the same time, but nothing's recorded in here. I'm wondering if I should take it to BMW. I mean, it's only been 17 years. I could even go back to the exact same dealership if it still exists. We'll have to find out. So there we go. And then we've got all sorts of other booklets and things in here. Probably got the original bill of sale somewhere. I mean, service stations, Europe roadmap, emergency service handbook, all that sort of stuff. Yeah, okay. It's a bit of the prestige. And I've obviously kept the original tax disc holder with a bunch of tax discs shoved in there. They're all stacked on top of each other. I don't want to take them out because it's probably all stuck together. But look, check this out. 6 months. Running a 5 Series on a shoestring. Anyway, there we go. Let's check out the rest of the interior. And this is the back here. This is somewhat ruined, unfortunately. Someone with a bicycle in the back and drove down the motorway. And yeah, not the best idea. The gears are grinding against the leather on the seat. And that's part of the reason why I want to swap this whole interior out for something a bit nicer, a bit more modern. Do have the headrests, but not here. And these are the original lights, because I fitted these, which I think look way better. Obviously the cup holders are completely ruined and missing, and this bit is all snapped and destroyed. In the back here you do have some more of this damage here. It's a bit of a shame really, because if it wasn't for that, these seats really would be in quite good condition. Oh well. Yeah, well, so that's it. This is the E39 coming back once and for all, because I ran out of things to do to the V10, which are financially viable in any way, shape or form. That car's an absolute money pit. This car's probably worth as much as 2 tyres on that car, I'd expect. Anywho, I'm going to park it back in its car parking space now. And next time we'll start doing things to it. We'll probably give it a wash first. Okay. See ya. And I was going to show you the boot, but quite frankly, it's just completely full of absolute rubbish. Ooh, beers.